In the quiet hours of the morning, when the mountains are still wrapped in soft mist and the river moves slowly through the valley, nature reminds us of something we often forget. The world itself is not rushing. The trees grow slowly, the water flows gently, the sun rises without struggle. Yet inside the human mind, there is often no such peace. Many people live with a mind that is always busy. Even in moments of silence, the mind continues speaking. Thought after thought appears without invitation. Memories from years ago return suddenly. Worries about tomorrow begin to grow. Plans, fears, regrets, expectations, all moving endlessly inside the mind. Sometimes the mind becomes so full that a person can no longer feel calm. Even when nothing is wrong in the present moment. You may lie down to rest, but the mind continues thinking. You may sit in a quiet room, but the mind continues worrying. You may be surrounded by peaceful nature, yet inside there is noise. Long ago, the Buddha observed this condition very carefully. He saw that the human mind, when left untrained, behaves like a restless monkey in the forest, jumping from branch to branch, never staying in one place for very long. One moment the mind is in the past. It replays old conversations. It remembers mistakes. It wonders what could have been different. Then suddenly the mind leaps into the future. It begins imagining problems that have not happened. It creates fears about things that may never occur. It builds stories about tomorrow, next week, or many years from now. In this constant movement between past and future, the present moment is forgotten. And yet the present moment is the only place where peace can truly exist. The Buddha taught that suffering often begins not in the world around us, but in the mind that cannot stop chasing thoughts. A single thought appears, then another follows. Soon the mind becomes like a crowded marketplace, full of voices calling in every direction. When this happens, the heart becomes tired. People often believe that their suffering is caused by the world itself. They think, if my life were easier, my mind would finally be calm. They believe that peace will come when problems disappear, when success arrives, when everything in life becomes stable and perfect. But the Buddha gently reminded us that life will always contain change. There will always be gain and loss. There will always be praise and criticism. There will always be moments of joy and moments of difficulty. If our peace depends on the world becoming perfect, we may wait our entire lives without finding it. Instead, the Buddha pointed to a deeper truth. Peace begins when we learn to understand the nature of the mind. Imagine sitting beside a quiet river like the one flowing through this valley. The water moves slowly over the stones. It does not fight the path before it. It does not try to hold the water that has already passed. It simply continues flowing in the present moment. The mind, too, can learn to flow. Thoughts will always appear. This is natural. The Buddha never said that the mind must become empty of thoughts. Thoughts are part of being human. But there is a difference between noticing a thought and becoming trapped inside it. When a thought appears, we can simply observe it. We can notice it the way we notice a cloud moving across the sky. A cloud appears for a moment, and then it slowly disappears. The sky does not chase the cloud. The sky does not try to hold it. Thoughts are the same. They arise. They stay for a moment. Then they fade away. But when we cling to a thought, when we follow it again and again, it grows stronger. It becomes a story. That story becomes a worry. That worry becomes anxiety. Soon the mind feels heavy. The Buddha taught that freedom begins with awareness. When we become aware of the mind, something changes. We begin to see thoughts not as commands, but as passing events. A thought might say, "You are not good enough. Another thought might say, something bad will happen tomorrow. Another thought might whisper, you should worry about this all night. But these are only thoughts. They are not reality. When we observe them calmly, they lose their power. One of the simplest practices the Buddha offered was to return attention to the breath. Breathing in, we know we are breathing in. Breathing out, we know we are breathing out. The breath is always happening in the present moment. It does not belong to the past, and it does not belong to the future. When the mind begins to wander, we gently guide it back to the breath. Not with force, not with frustration, but with patience and kindness. At first, the mind may wander many times. This is normal. The mind has spent many years running freely. It will not become calm in a single moment. But every time we notice the wandering and return to the breath, we are training the mind to become more stable. Slowly, something begins to change. The space between thoughts becomes wider. The storm of thinking becomes softer. The mind begins to rest. In that quiet space, we discover something very precious. Clarity. When the mind is constantly busy, it is like looking into muddy water. Everything appears unclear. Problems look bigger than they truly are. But when the mind becomes still, it is like a calm lake reflecting the sky. Things appear as they truly are. We begin to realize that many of our worries were created by imagination. Many fears were only shadows passing through the mind. The Buddha once said that a disciplined mind brings happiness. This happiness is different from the happiness that comes from possessions or achievements. It is a quiet happiness that arises from within. It does not depend on circumstances. It comes from knowing that the mind no longer needs to chase every thought. In a world that moves quickly, learning to slow the mind is a powerful practice. When we sit quietly, even for a few minutes, we begin to reconnect with something that has always been present beneath the noise. A deep inner stillness. Nature shows us this stillness everywhere. The mountains do not rush. The river does not hurry. The morning mist rises slowly under the soft light of the sun. Nothing in this peaceful landscape is struggling to become something else. It simply exists. Human beings, too, can rediscover this natural simplicity. When we stop fighting every thought and begin observing them with gentle awareness, the mind gradually becomes lighter. Worries begin to loosen their grip. The heart begins to soften. Even difficult situations feel easier to face, because the mind is no longer overwhelmed. The Buddha reminded his followers that the mind can be both the source of suffering and the source of freedom. When the mind is uncontrolled, it creates endless noise. But when the mind is understood, it becomes a place of deep peace. So if your mind feels busy tonight, there is no need to fight against it. Simply sit for a moment. Feel the breath entering the body. Feel the breath leaving the body. Allow the thoughts to come and go like waves upon the surface of water. Do not hold them. Do not chase them. Just watch them gently. Little by little, the mind will remember how to rest. Like the river flowing quietly through the misty mountains, the mind will begin to move with calm and ease. And in that calm, you may discover something that has always been there, patiently waiting beneath the endless stream of thoughts. A quiet mind, a peaceful heart, and the deep inner stillness that the Buddha described as true peace.